favorite food is tacos.
My name is JoJo Corneal. My favorite sports team is UCLA.
My name is Megan Up, and my favorite athlete is Delaney Spalding.
My name is Ava Koenig, and my favorite athlete is Rachel Garcia.
My name is Charlie Seamy, and my favorite athlete is Sis Bates.
My name is KAYLEEN Waters, and my favorite sports team is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
My name is AMELIA BARKHUFF, and my favorite athlete is Mookie Betts.
My name is Ellie Prindle, and my favorite sport team is the Milwaukee Brewers.
My name is Juliana Fee, and my favorite sports team is the New York Yankees.
My name is Tiffany Gonzalez, and my favorite athlete is Aaron Judge.
And back here, Alexis Cricket Hearns due up 6th, but KK ENRIQUEZ will start things off for Nevada. She had a couple of hits yesterday in that game against Oklahoma, and she will face off against Reese Fireball Poole for North Carolina. And what will she bring to the table?
Well, besides just being a fireball out there in the circle, she likes to move the ball all over the zone. She's most effective when she works down in the zone, when she's getting those pitches called for strikes right there at the knees. She's got a good curveball that she's going to work away from those right-handed batters. Every once in a while, you're also going to see her elevate in the zone, but the pitch that is most effective out of her hand is that off-speed, and she is going to need to use it today against this stellar Nevada lineup.
Well, she is working off of a day's rest after 3 straight games for North Carolina. They had Saturday off, and now finishing out pool play against Nevada with the number 2 seed in the Jenny Finch pool on the line. And here we go. That pitch low in the dirt, ball 1. KK ENRIQUEZ, we talked about the nice afternoon that she had against Oklahoma. 12-year-old who's just got a high motor, brings a nice spark to the top of the lineup. Exactly what you want to see out of your leadoff hitter.
And I think what's really impressive out of KK ENRIQUEZ is even when she's not getting a hit in a game, she's finding a way to get on base. You look back to their very first game here in Greenville. She ended up going 0 for 2 at the plate, but had 2 walks, so she's still managing to be productive in every single one of her at-bats.
Nevada, the region champs out of the West. And looking in at strike 2, they got started Thursday, a day after opening day. They got the win against New Jersey 5-2, and then also picked up their second W against Indiana before their first loss of the tournament last night. Oklahoma, a much anticipated matchup between those two teams, and both of the games last night did not disappoint.
No, we were looking forward to those games, and they were fantastic, especially that Nevada-Oklahoma matchup last night. So much production in both offenses all game long.
She went around Jane Lee behind the plate, rings her up, and the first strikeout for Fireball.
And that's the off-speed that you're going to see from Reese Poole. She hides it really well coming out of her hand, so you can see that KK ENRIQUEZ isn't able to pick it up in time to hold her bat back. She's called swinging on that one, and Fireball's got her first strikeout on the afternoon.
The shortstop for Nevada now standing at the plate. Also, we've seen her in the circle as well. Ava Koenig now up to bat. Her first pitch swinging, and she is able to get the base hit, the one-out base hit for Koenig, and she's aboard.
I like the aggressiveness out of Koenig. ENRIQUEZ was very patient in her at-bat, and Koenig says, you know what, I'm going to come up and swing at the very first pitch I see, drives it out into the outfield for a nice easy base hit.
Charlie Seamy, the 3-hole hitter, up now, coming off a base hit from yesterday, the 12-year-old. He is ready. Seamy swinging at that one, and again, aggressive swings. That's what we have seen pretty consistently throughout this tournament.
Yeah, we've seen it from a lot of teams, but when you look at this Nevada team especially, they get so much production throughout their entire lineup. When you look back to their win against Indiana, 1 through 7 in their lineup had at least 1 hit. Even last night in their loss to Oklahoma, 1 through 5 had at least 1 hit.
And Seamy lifts this one into left field. Underneath it is Josephina Hahn, and 2 down.
Continuing to be aggressive is Seamy, getting just underneath that pitch. That's exactly what Reese Poole wants out there in the circle. She wants them to swing at those pitches just slightly out of the zone, get some of those miss hits, trust her defense behind her to get them back in the dugout.
And you wonder where the name Fireball comes from. For Poole, named after her grandpa, who was a really good pitcher as well. They called him Fireball, so she just adopted it as well in the circle.
Well, she's got a bit of a fiery personality out there as well. Definitely a leader for this team. Leads by example. She wants the ball every single pitch. She is a true competitor out there.
That went in for a strike for Poole. Poole facing off against Juliana Fee. Fee, who has some experience both in the Little League, softball, and baseball worlds. And she's down the count 1-2.
You know, we've talked about how a lot of these athletes have to juggle a lot of sports because they're multi-sport athletes, but she was juggling both baseball and softball in the same season. Talk about multitasking at its finest.
Staying off of that one outside, not chasing, now 2-2. And to the crossover that these players are able to bring to the diamond. They just love the stick and ball sport. This one popped up in the infield, and Jordan Dry is there. A runner left on base after Reese Poole able to sit down Juliana Fee. Wonderful week of softball that we've experienced in Greenville, and it continues. Looking into that North Carolina, tons of personality, really good pitcher, great athlete overall, starting in the circle for Nevada.
Well, she's going to come out here looking to top her performance against Indiana. She ended up racking up 14 strikeouts just a couple of days ago, but she likes to move the ball all throughout the zone. She throws with really good velocity, and she has a really professional presence out there in the circle. Another leader for this Nevada team.
She faces off against the North Carolina pitcher, Reese Poole. She takes ball one. And we've seen a couple of now 14 strikeout performances. Also, Virginia's Jenna Kiefer did so as well.
You know, it's interesting, the trend of the week so far early on, it was really the pitchers dominating in the circle, getting tons and tons of strikeouts. But as this week's gone on, those hitters, they're starting to catch fire.
Figuring it out as JoJo Corneal is figuring out that strike zone on the outside part of the plate for strike two. Reese Poole and this team coming from Salisbury, North Carolina, about 45 minutes outside of Charlotte. That one eats up Ava Koenig, and the leadoff runner is aboard for North Carolina.
Reese Poole jumping all over this pitch, hitting it hard into the 5-6 hole. You're going to notice how Ava Koenig has to move her feet, get in front of that one. She does a good job at that. It just takes a little bit of a funky hop, kind of hits her in the shoulder there, and that allows Reese Poole to reach base safely to try to get some early scoring started for North Carolina.
One of the younger players on this team, Mila McNeely, showing bunt here as she takes strike one. We have seen her get off to, again, a hot start, was 3 for 6 coming into today with a couple of RBI as well. nicknamed ESPN. And how fortunate for all of us that we get to watch her play on our ESPN networks.
Well, we have seen her make some incredible plays at second base as well. That's why they gave her that nickname, because she can make some SportsCenter top 10 worthy defensive plays out there.
Snap throw back to first again, and Simi checking on Poole, making sure she stays at bay. I have loved watching the defensive web gems that we've seen. Danica Rosa, one of the center fielders for North Carolina, came in and made an awesome diving grab. Eva Shue been busy at first base on defense. And Alexis Kearns, cricket over at second base for Nevada as well. Two and two now. Corneal rings her up on the outside corner, strikeout number one.
This first inning is all about establishing the strike zone, and early on in this game, Corneal going to that curveball, so it's not just breaking away from these right-handed batters, but it's also got a bit of an upspin to it as well. Mila McNeely watching that one go by. That's a big first out for Corneal.
Laisha Carter, the catcher, great backhanded stop by Koenig. Not able to get her in time, but still excellent effort over at shortstop from Koenig.
That play had me on my feet up here in the booth. What a fantastic grab by Koenig at short. She gets up in a hurry, fires it across the diamond, but Laisha Carter able to leg that one out just barely in time. What a fantastic play in the 5-6 hole. I know that's not going to go down as an out, but that's going to be a play that I remember.
Base hit for Carter. Jordan Dry now up to the plate with runners at first and second and just one out. And it feels like the mood has just changed as cloud cover is moving over Stallings Stadium. Jordan Dry trying to lay down the bunt down the first base line. It's fair, and she's out. So two down, runners advance, and the sacrifice bunt laid down by Dry.
A heads-up defensive play by first baseman Juliana Fee as well. She comes up on this bunt. You look at her here. She tries to apply the tag, realizes that she missed it, and fires it immediately over to Alexis Kearns, who's there at first base to make that out.
Another hitter who has been on a tear, Eva Shue. And she looks at ball one, 3 for 7 in the tournament.
You know, there are certain swings that really stick in your mind, and one of them is Eva Shue's swing back in the regional first game. She sits on a changeup and drives it out into the outfield.
This one over the left fielder's head. Tiffany Gonzalez misplayed that one, and two come in to score for North Carolina. They're on the board.
This outfield for Nevada was playing very shallow, specifically Tiffany Gonzalez over there in left field, and Eva Shue drives this one opposite field, well over the head of Gonzalez, allowing a couple of runs to come across the board early, and North Carolina has found some momentum early in this game.
Leah Troutman, first pitch swinging on the inside, stayed fair, picked up by Fee, and tagging her going down the first baseline. But North Carolina breaking through the scoreboard first. A two-way player, much like a young lady by the name of Rachel Garcia. You may have heard of her. She tweeted at her and said, "Look, girl, you are amazing. Keep it up. This Bruin is watching and love pitchers that can hit." Two-time National Player of the Year and Olympian Rachel Garcia. She's tuned in just like many others. You never know who's watching.
Oh my gosh, you just gotta love the support from all these fantastic softball players across the country tuning in to watch these young ladies compete here in Greenville. One of the best to ever do it in Rachel Garcia, showing her support. We've even seen Delaney Spalding put some messages out there on social media. Another Olympian, just these top-tier athletes tuning in to watch these young ladies play this sport.
And Corneal, the opposite field hit, and it goes foul. But you'll never guess then where Giovanni Corneal is interested in attending college. What's her dream college? I'll give you one easy guess.
Does it have something to do with Rachel Garcia?
Yeah. Well, we're getting closer. 4 letters. 4 letters. You're a quick learner. I love it,
Similar colors
Madison.
to what jersey that Giovanni Corneal's wearing currently, too. My guess is UCLA.
Yeah, also on the West Coast as well. Yes.
Fantastic school. Fantastic softball program as well. A lot of Bruins on that Olympic team that was just over in Japan. Ali Carta, Bubba Nichols, Rachel Garcia.
12 national championships for the UCLA Bruins, the most of any collegiate program. And Corneal, the bouncer, right back to Shu. She tags first and 1 down.
Good battle by both Reese Poole and Giovanni Corneal on that one. Reese Poole coming out on top, but she's got her work cut out for her now with Cricket coming up to the plate.
Here's the homie, Alexis Kearns, standing in at a 4'9" frame, but we have said that she packs the big-time punch at the plate. And look, the Cricket fever spreading throughout, and of course, our own Jenny Dalton-Hill gets in on the action. There's the Cricket there that you see and holding it up after last night's game. And popped up as Shu has been busy at first base, so we had to give Kearns a little bit of love. Cricket is retired.
You just gotta love when these ladies just fully embrace their nicknames. Not too many people have some t-shirts made after them, but Cricket fully embracing that one, and she has had herself a fantastic week in Greenville so far.
In one game, she was responsible for 7 RBI.
Yeah, you look at that box score and you think, is that a typo? And no, Alexis Kearns did bring in 7 RBI in one game. Just so impressive. And she doesn't just hit it in one spot. She sprays it all over the field.
Megan Up, the right fielder for Nevada, is up to the plate. Nickname Megatron, and you talked about Delaney Spalding, one of those former players getting a chance to say hello through that 3-4 hole. There is a base hit with 2 outs for Megan Up.
Megan Up channeling a little bit of Delaney Spalding on that swing, spraying it all over the field. Some opposite field power, poking this one right through the 3-4 hole. Nice piece of hitting, not trying to do too much, just hit it where it's pitched, put the ball on the ground and make something happen.
So Tiffany Gonzalez now ready to go against Reese Poole. We'll go back and give the towel to Coach Jim Linehan, the manager. And we're set. You always want to know what the game of softball means to these young ladies. And Tiffany Gonzalez was asked that question. She says, look, it just gets my adrenaline pumping and flowing. It makes me feel good.
Well, when asked what her walk-up song would be, she said that it would be Wobble by VIC, and I'm telling you, Tiffany, that is a fantastic choice. That was my walk-up song when I was in college, and when asked, why would you choose that song, she said, it gets me ready to have a good time. And I completely agree. Fantastic song choice by Tiffany Gonzalez, because we're up here already having a good time.
Wobble, baby. Come on. Get in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Get in down.
See, then Tiffany's up here showing me up on the dance moves.
You know, it is a must. It is on the playlist at like every wedding, right? Yes. It's a universal song that brings everybody to the dance floor.
My thought was I could get the stands involved. They could start dancing as well, and we know that Tiffany Gonzalez is trying to have a good time on the field too. She probably has better dance moves than me.
And Reese Poole strikes out, so she's going to dance and trot back, lay down the bunt, and it's called fouled. So coming back to the plate is Josephina Hun.
Hun's a batter that has a ton of speed up there. You're going to see her sneaky bunt pretty much in every single game that she bats. And because of that, you can see the corners for Nevada playing really close, anticipating her laying down that bunt, but knowing because she's so fast, they have to play almost halfway up the line in order to get her out.
1-1 Hun swinging away, fouls that one back, has aspirations and dream of one day becoming a softball coach and perhaps being able to play in the Olympics. We saw softball return to the Olympics in Tokyo. Team USA took silver medal. And I suspect he'll be coming back around in 2028 in Los Angeles. So Hun could be right on time. The 12-year-old would be in her 20s then. She could be one of the collegiate players to go on and do so, much like we saw with Rachel Garcia.
You know, it's interesting. Typically when batters get to a 2-strike count, they go away from the bunt. But Josephina Hun now has been in a 2-strike count for 2 straight pitches, and she has shown bunt on both of them. Just shows you how confident she is in her abilities.
Pops that one back and foul, giving chase was feet.
And because she turned to square and laid down the bunt with 2 strikes and ended up hitting it foul, she is out, which is typically the reason why people go away from it. Because as soon as you turn to square and you don't put it down in fair territory, you are automatically out when you're in that 2-strike count.
Thank you for that, partner, Danica Rosa. Swinging and fouling the first pitch away. Rosa lifts this one into right field, going towards the line, and a foul ball as Brian Wolf had a great look at it.
This was a fantastic effort by Megan Up out in right field, getting a good job, taking it all the way down, and it just barely lands in foul territory. That was such a close play down the line.
One ball, 2 strikes to the 7th grader, Danica Rosa. Very proud history with Rowan Little League, having won the World Series back in 2015 and again in 2019. So this organization, the reigning World Series champions, waiting on that one, lifting it over to third, and KK Enriquez is there.
There's that changeup, that off speed coming out of the hand of Giovanni Corneal. Danica Rosa doing whatever she can to try to stay back on it long enough. Still ends up out in front of it for a pop fly over to KAYLEEN Enriquez.
And we're seeing the players be instructed to go back into the dugout. Remember, we had about 3.5 hours pass through, and that weather with Reagan Williams inserted as the pinch hitter here. You just think back to that delay. 4:49 Eastern, there was lightning in the area. And then the players having to come back out and look as fresh and ready to go after that long stretch off.
And rain delays are especially tough on the pitchers, trying to keep their arms warm, not throwing too much, but you know you've got to come back out and be right back at it.
Well, JoJo Corneal looking sharp there, getting 2 strikeouts in this very long second inning, but that does it. We move to the top of the third, and Nevada trying to come back in this one, trailing by 2.
Literally, we'd like to thank our local Greenville and North Carolina supporters, including East Carolina University, First State Insurance Advisors, Troopers Athletics, and Custom Building Company for their support.
Both teams with 2 hits apiece. The difference there, North Carolina able to pick up 2 runs in this ball game, as Nevada now looking for something to get going against Reese Fireball Poole, a very tough pitcher in the circle for North Carolina.
Very energetic out there as well. She makes great defensive plays, very athletic. You're going to see her pop out of that circle to field some bunts. And she's got a lot of passion out there on the field, a leader for her team.
So the nickname very much appropriate for her in Fireball. And it almost feels like a home field advantage for Rowan Little League out of Salisbury, North Carolina, just about 3 hours west of where we are in Greenville. Poole's line thus far, a couple of hits, but also a couple of strikeouts. Amelia Barkhuff now 2-1. AB smacks that one foul down near that dugout for North Carolina. Barkhuff talked about just how excited she was after that long layoff. Pandemic threw a lot of things off, taking that time in quarantine to just get better, do whatever was asked or needed. And watch out down that third base line, and Jim Linehan says, good job, I see you.
Well, he knows that was a solid piece of hitting coming hot his way. The one before that went the opposite direction. So here, Amelia just trying to get her timing off of Reese Poole.
Nevada, the West Region champs, representing Summerlin South Little League. Full count to Barkhuff. You talked about it so much, the long layoff for pitchers and how they would come back and respond. Almost 3.5 hours since Reese Poole had thrown a softball. And the walk. Okay, so look, we saw the dancing. That's a very important part of the rain delay activities, but Madison, there were others that topped your list.
Yes, well, number one is food. All the way, that is what is on athletes' minds, especially at this age. And, you know, honestly, for us up in the booth, we are constantly thinking about where we're going to get our next meal. The next activity has to be hacky sack. You can play it at any time. It's a small sack that you could just keep in your bat bags. You've got it ready to go at any time. And then pepper. We all played pepper growing up. You have a batter you know, with your teammates lined up in front of you, throwing you knuckleballs, throwing you rise balls, doing whatever they can to get you to pop up. Because when you pop up to your teammate and they the entire delay.
We'll see. You're saying, I'll take your pepper and raise you tic-tac-toe from dugout to dugout as it was being thrown. The ball was being thrown back and forth. And not only that, we also saw a little karaoke in the dugout.
We did. We did see karaoke. We know that these girls are much more creative than I am because I'm seeing them do all these things on the field during the rain delay going, why didn't I think of that when I was playing? They really just put my rain delay activities to shame is what they did.
They just want you to reconsider, right? Just think about, you know, some other options, and maybe you could expand the list to Madison's top 5.
Yes, yes. Well, after today, we could probably fill up about a 10, 15 bullet point list on the screen.
The 0-2 to KK Enriquez, low in the dirt. Good stop there by Alicia Carter behind the plate. Enriquez, who went 2 for 3 yesterday, scored 2 runs in Nevada's loss to Oklahoma, the top-seeded team out of the Mendoza pool. And you hear these names, Mendoza, Finch, those are after 2 softball superstars. Enriquez, that one down the right field line and foul. She'll come back to the plate.
I think it's pretty special, too, when you look through a lot of these questionnaires. Players like Jenny Finch and Jessica Mendoza are still listed as these young athletes' favorite softball players. And I think a lot of that has to do with not just what Jenny Finch and Jessica Mendoza were able to accomplish on the field, but what they continue to do for the sport of softball. They are continuing to give back to the sport, to grow the sport across the nation because of how much they loved it growing up and playing throughout their careers. So they want to make it as big and as grand as possible for these young ladies growing up in the sport today.
They played in the Pac-12, Mendoza from Stanford, Jenny Finch from Arizona. They went on to be teammates with Team USA, winning a silver and gold medal in the Olympics. And great pitch there by Fireball Poole.
Reese Poole seems to be finding her groove out there in the circle. This one's a screwball on the inside part of the plate to KK Enriquez. You can see how she thought that ball was going to tail even farther in, but it just hits that inside part of the strike zone, and she's rung up for strike 3.
Ava Koenig, who had a hit off of Poole back in that first inning, swing it away and strike 1. When we talked with the coaches and you try to get a sense of the team and who were some of the leaders, Jim Linehan immediately said Ava Koenig is one of the backbones of this organization.
Well, he said that Ava truly leads by example. She's one of those players that he called a 5-tool player, and what he means by that is she's an athlete that can hit, she can run, she can field, she can throw, and she can think the game of softball. So that's when you hear coaches talking about the 5-tool players, that's exactly what they mean, that they are great in every single facet of the ball, or of the ball game.
And the team captain returning to her home birth state of North Kakalaki, born in the state's capital, Raleigh, just about 85 miles away from here. In Greenville, the new home of the World Series.
Do you think North Kakalaki is written on her birth certificate? I think it should be.
It should be, yeah. I don't really know where that originates. I probably should look that up, but it's just like, it's one of those things where you just immediately pick that up, and I'm being told by our director, Monica Belt, it was Tribe Called Quest. Tough play for Josephina Hahn in left field. She was coming in, had a good look at it there, but a base hit again for Koenig, her second of the night.
This ball is a laser off the bat of Koenig. She has such quick hands up at the plate, which allows her to turn on these inside pitches. Josephina Hahn trying to come up and catch that one, but it gets down right before she can get there. That is a really solid base hit by Ava Koenig.
In watching this Nevada team through 4 days of pool play, they are a dangerous group from top to bottom.
they've been so impressive because it doesn't just come from one person in their lineup, but they truly spread the hits 1 through 9. When you think back to their win against Indiana, 1 through 7 in their lineup had at least 1 hit. And in their game last night against Oklahoma, even though they lost, 1 through 5 had hit.
Poole doing her job, popping her up and making a tough play in the infield to collect the second out. Good job, Reese Poole.
You love the reaction after that one, too. I think her heart might have sank a little bit as that ball was dropping back to her. Tracking it all the way, looking into the lights, even has to backpedal to make sure she's able to come up with this one. Sometimes those high fly balls in the infield can have so much spin on them. As you get underneath, they continue to travel behind you, but she's able to track that one down.
Gives Juliana Fee to pop up again in foul territory. She'll get another swing at it. Fee, who had a very good regional tournament, drove in a team-high 6 runs already with a couple of RBI after last night's game with Oklahoma. Poole looking in, the pitch. Juliana Jules Fee has aspirations of being many things: a real estate and stockbroker, a player tested positive or a positive test with COVID for the team. A very tough break for that group who came in and gave it their all, and you hate to see it cut short like that, but certainly hope everyone is okay.
And a team that was just so much fun to watch, especially in the circle with Haley Arvidsson and what she was able to do to get her team here to the Little League Softball World Series, those back-to-back perfect games in that East Regional, and she was just phenomenal in the circle for them.
And because we have had so much weather that's come through the area throughout the day, the night game between Indiana and Oklahoma was canceled. Reese Poole right back to Cornell and 1 down.
Yeah, JoJo Cornell here, knowing that Reese Poole likes to be aggressive. She has a big swing in the batter's box, decides to throw that ball inside, gets her jammed up on that pitch for a ground ball right back to her.
Mom, who played at UNLV for collegiate ball and then was the catcher on the Puerto Rican national team back in the summer games in Atlanta in 1996, and we got word that she was able to catch for the All-American Lori Harrigan as well. So Cherie Cornell watching her daughter in the circle. Mila McNeely, who has been one of those players for North Carolina that's stood out, searching for her first hit of the night, struck out looking. First time up, that one off-speed offering, took some time to get there. Jane Lee says it's a little hot, ball 1.
That one just barely missing up in the zone. I like the idea to mix off speeds. The more you throw it throughout the game, the more that it gets in those hitters' minds that you can pull it out at any time in the at-bat.
Speak about the Olympic tie, interestingly enough. Cornell's mom had a chance to play in the Olympics. McNeely's uncle participated in the summer games representing Italy. The 11-year-old is ready, gathers herself, a very good second baseman as well. Full count. And she's aboard with the 1-out walk.
Really nice at bat by McNeely. A couple of good takes on pitches that were fairly close in the zone, especially that changeup just missing high. Seemed like on that take, all of a sudden the momentum in that at bat shifted towards Mila McNeely, able to work her way on base.
Alicia Carter making the most of her playing time this year in Little League. Getting a little last minute coach up from Donnell Poole, the manager.
Bit of a check swing by Laisha Carter on that one. That tells me she maybe had a specific pitch in mind that she was hunting and right at the last minute tried to pull up. I'm assuming that is not where she wanted to swing and records it as a foul ball.
The throw back to first base in time as McNeely able to touch first. Carter looks in, takes the pitch, and just gets a piece of that one off the end of the bat.
Still very into the outfield.
We've back by Corneal.
Well, and Tiffany, we just
all of their runs during the first and second innings. Here they're trailing by 4 and are running out of chances, but that's the way to start it off as JoJo Corneal singles it back up the middle.
That's exactly what this Nevada team needed, a spark from one of the four co-captains that they have on this squad. JoJo Corneal coming up clutch, wasting no time at all, being aggressive in this at-bat, driving that one right back up the middle to see if she can get something started.
And a long time ago, felt like sometime earlier today, we were telling you about the stars of this tournament and some of the top performances. And this young lady, Alexis Cricket Kearns, stands out what she's done at the plate and in the field. Against Indiana, she was 3 for 4 and had 7 RBI, like in one game.
And she's spraying the ball. It's hard to call. Get a board. You have to sacrifice bunter batter over so that you can move that runner over to scoring position. Alexis Kearns is your hottest hitter lineup. So there, Coach Jim Linehan said, you know what? I trust be okay to swing away.
And we haven't seen it often, but do you test the arm of Laisha Carter in the back, or you just let Kearns swing? Good decision there. A little hesitation around the base paths for Corneal. This one gets past Danica Rosa, 1 in to score, and Nevada is on the board.
It's like Coach Linehan had a feeling that Alexis Kearns was going to come through for their team yet again. She clobbers this one out to center field. Danica Rosa gets a good jump on it, and it just hits off of the heel of her glove, and because of that, skips way out to the center field wall and allows JoJo Corneal to score all the way from first base.
Big turn of events if you are Nevada, the RBI triple, and continuing to add to that total is Cricket Kearnes. What else? Like, come on. Is there anything she can't do?
What's impressed me, there's been several things that have impressed me about her, but just her ability to get her timing down so quickly on all of the different pitchers that she has seen here in Greenville. So many of her swings, even the foul balls that she's hit in her at-bats, have been on time. Every single swing has a purpose, and that's why she's been able to come through in the clutch so many times so far this week for her team.
And she is 60 feet closer to home, and a pinch hitter, Giovanna Christmas, can bring Kearnes home. Again, no out, and potentially they can cut this lead in half or more. Youngest player on the team is Christmas at 10 years old. Had a birthday earlier this month. So I'm assuming she's 11 now. Tried to show bunt and strike two.
Good defense that we just saw by North Carolina too. We've mentioned the athleticism that Reese Poole shows in the circle, and immediately as soon as she let go of that pitch, she saw Christmas turning to square and took off to home.
Swinging away here, gets past Carter, the tag at the plate, and Kearnes is out. The battery working together. Reese Poole says, I got your back.
That is a huge first out for North Carolina. Kearnes has a ton of speed over there at third base, but I love the coverage here. Neither one of them gave up on this play. A nice job by Carter to flip it over to Poole to apply the tag. A well-executed defensive play. It looks like we might end up taking another look here.
It was a bang-bang play at home plate.
Very close play. The question is did Kearnes' foot touch home just slightly before Reese Poole was able to apply that tag? Remember, these coaches are allowed unlimited successful challenges during the game, only 2 unsuccessful challenges. Let's take another look at it here. Reese Poole applying the tag. Ooh, man, that one is close. The only reason I think that it might end up getting overturned is because of how high on the body Reese Poole applied that tag. If it were down a little bit lower, maybe would have tagged her on the foot or the shin.
Well, what's important to note is that Jane Lee calls her out at home, so you have to have indisputable evidence to be able to overturn a call like that.
Such a close play over there, too. Taking a look, a nice toss by Carter over to Poole. Ooh, she might be in there.
This is tough. Every time I look at it, I actually kind of go back and forth, like yes, no, yes, no.
When I'm watching, sometimes I focus on the foot, sometimes I'm focusing on the glove, and I feel, it's so close, so tough. And everybody wants to make sure that we're getting these calls right. Not able to do that. But what a great defensive play again. We talk a lot about the momentum and how you get that momentum back on your side. Just as Nevada started rolling, they're hitting the ball onto the outfield, taking advantage of those extra bases. North Carolina comes in with the clutch defensive play to try to get some of that energy back on their side.
Well, Christmas staying disciplined at the plate, and she trots to first base with the walk. Second given up by Poole. And Tiffany Gonzalez will come to the plate, or instead, Jim Linehan will use a pinch runner. Number of substitutions we see throughout these games, the mandatory play. If everybody has to have an at-bat, and you get to experience that at bat all the way through and run it out if you make it on base. Good look there at Jim Linehan. 15 years he's spent with Little League organization. And at the plate he calls on Ellie Prindle in this moment. Prindle drives that one, pops it up over to third base, and 2 down.
A nice play by Leah Troutman and good communication between her and Jordan Dry at shortstop. It looked like both of them were going for that ball right at the last minute. Leah Troutman calls her off, gets that out, and heads up looking over to see if she can get a double play over at first base.
And another change being made by Linehan. And what he has liked about his team is, again, they will do whatever is needed and necessary. Small ball, power. You go back to that regional round, they scored 43 runs over those 4 games en route to the West Region Championship. Kylie Husson will get her turn. Comes up to the plate with 2 outs. And Christmas at first. Going high to get that one is Carter. Ball 1. Well, Ariana Grande should have checked out Husson in the dugout and her singing skills during that weather delay.
And you know, Tiffany, it's funny when we're reading through all of these questionnaires that these girls send in. I find myself laughing several times as I'm reading them, but I do remember specifically laughing when I was reading Kylie Husson's when she was asked who she looks up to. She said, my mom and dad. They are the coolest people I know, but then she made sure to put in parentheses, they're standing right behind me. And I could not help but laugh when I read that on the questionnaire.
And the 4-ball walk to Husson. So mom Annabelle and dad Brent have to be happy as the rally continuing here in the top of the 4th for Nevada. And Donnell Poole coming out to the circle to talk to his daughter. We'll take a listen.
Well, get busy and let's do it. I mean, while you walking, don't talk. Don't talk. You listen. You lucky I don't have another pitcher. You run that smart mouth, throw strikes and get ahead. I mean, you can dance. Ain't nothing wrong with your leg. You out there goofing off dancing, is it? Let's go.
Down batting, number 6.
Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you see the tough love from Donnell Poole to his daughter Reese. And look, they're both really competitive. They just want the best. They want to get out of this inning. They want to go on to advance to be the 2nd seed out of this Mendoza pool. Emotions running high.
Well, we mentioned that there was a very long rain delay. And these girls doing whatever they could to stay in the game, stay energized. And here Reese Poole finding herself in a bit of a jam. Really has to refocus, zero in, and attack that strike zone.
And there she does it. KK Enriquez, 0 for 2 tonight. The 12-year-old swinging high at that one. A ball and 2 strikes. You know, with the name Fireball, any thought of dad maybe trying to ignite a fire there?
You know, I think there is something to be said for dads and just knowing what their daughters need in order to get them going. And you talk to them for 2 minutes and you know, hey, they are both very competitive. They are trying to do whatever they can to win these ball games.
Gets Enriquez to pop up. And over there to get it is Jordan Dry. So Donnell Poole knew just what to do as his daughter, Reese Fireball Poole, getting out of the jam, only giving up 1 run.
Well, telling them what the experience was going to be like. We've even seen a couple of them in the stands throughout this Little League World Series in Greenville this year. So many fantastic players when I think back to that 2019 team. Campbell Shane, just an awesome pitcher in the circle for them, coming from the left side, a great hitter too. Manager Steve Yang and what he was able to do with that program as well was just very impressive.
Between Shane and KK Dowling, Emma Klein, names that will live on in Rowan Little League softball history. And behind on the count is pinch hitter Brinley Hyatt to lead it off here in the bottom half of the inning. JoJo Corneo picking up that pace in the circle. And line just past the glove of Fee into right field, and it's Hyatt with the 0-2 base hit.
A great job by Brinley Hyatt, showing off the muscles over there at first base to her teammates, driving this ball opposite field. Look at how high that ball is in the zone. It's almost at her shoulders, and she takes her barrel straight to it, hitting it right through that 3-4 hole for a leadoff base hit here in the bottom of the 4th.
Well, this North Carolina team has seen the ball well tonight. They have struck it well also. And Donnell Poole asking Sophia Redding to come in, perhaps sacrifice Hyatt over.
If I'm North Carolina, I'm doing whatever I can to get as many insurance runs as possible. We have seen how great this Nevada offense has been throughout this week. No lead is safe.
Redding known to be a fantastic teammate. Does whatever is needed in whatever moment she's called on. 6th grader at Irwin Middle School. And awaits the pitch from Corneo. Tries to lay down. The bunt coming over was KK Enriquez making the play at first base. Nobody covering third. But luckily for Nevada, Hyatt stayed put.
I thought for a second Brinley Hyatt was going to round second and go straight into third because nobody was covering. They were all crashing to field this fantastic sacrifice bunt. A nice job by Redding coming in, doing her job, getting that thing down on the ground and moving that base runner over into scoring position.
Caroline Lyerly reinserted into the game. Lyerly in the 9th spot. Out of Faith, North Carolina. And sharply hit over to Koenig. Koenig looks the runner back to second, and then Hyatt takes off and sliding underneath the tag. She's safe at third. Productive out there.
Number 2, Reese.
Ava Koenig making a nice play on this one. A hard hit ball right to her. She watches it all the way in, but look at Brinley Hyatt's eyes. She was watching Koenig the entire way. As soon as she got up to throw across the diamond to first base, Hyatt immediately took off running towards third. That's what allowed her to get in there safely before that tag was applied by KK Enriquez.
First pitch swinging, scooped up, nice play by Enriquez at third, charging in and gets Poole at first to end the inning. So a hit given up, couple of left on base, but Nevada holds as we move to the 5th. Little League Sandlot Fun Days is a player-led unstructured opportunity for local Little League programs to provide a fun, relaxed activity for baseball and softball players. Kids make the rules, the lineups, and the calls. Give them the bats, balls, and field, and just let them play. Learn more today at littleleague.org/Sandlot Fun Days. 2-3-4 due up for Nevada. Their window is closing in terms of opportunity. The number 2 seed in the Mendoza pool up for grabs as quarterfinal play will start tomorrow. Eva Koenig gets that one foul in the right field.
Well, and Tiffany, you can't help but get the feeling for Nevada that this is the part of their lineup that they want up. You mentioned that time is starting to run out in this ball game. They've only got 6 outs to work with. But right now, they're part of their lineup coming up in this inning, trying to get something going offensively.
This one popped up underneath, giving chase is Jordan Dry, who makes the great grab.
And just when you thought that ball had eyes and was going to land in left field, Jordan Dry says, not in my house. She tracks this one all the way out into the outfield. Great communication yet again, and able to secure that one for a huge out number 1.
Well, the defense backing up Reese Poole, who has only allowed 1 run, and it was changed in the scorebook to an error. So RBI wiped off the board for Alexis Kearnes. Either way, Nevada's on the board, trailing by 3. Charlie Seamy, her 3rd plate appearance. And Reese Poole continuing to fire pitches in there. Seamy has been one of those players just with high energy on this ball club. 5-tool player. She's behind the dish tonight for Cornell. Pops it up over in foul territory. There's Eva Shu, and 2 down. So the infielder's busy.
Well, we've seen several high fly balls to the infield. They're doing a nice job of tracking them all the way in. And the reason why Reese Poole has been able to induce so many fly balls is because she's staying around the zone. One thing that we know Nevada does well is they make you pay for mistakes over the heart of the plate. And so far in this game, Reese Poole is doing a nice job of staying outside of the zone. When she misses way out of the zone like that. But not too often during this game is the entire ball being left over the heart of the plate.
Reese Poole into Juliana Fee, and strike 1 re-enters the game. Fee looks on, ready, ball 2. Pulls that one foul.
You know, sometimes I wonder too if Reese Poole's even mixing more speeds than just her changeup and her fastball, because Juliana Fee way out in front of that pitch, way around it, hitting it into that 3rd base dugout. It's not on time. And then the next pitch coming in, she's a little bit late on it. So when you see hitters start to spray balls to both sides of the field, that's when it tells you that the pitcher is really mixing speeds out there.
And if you're in Fee's shoes, what should you be expecting here?
I would be shortening up, just trying to poke it back up the middle.
Instead, Fireball Poole collects another strikeout. Reese fired up.
Reese Poole just living in and around the zone, going right after these batters. This one, a rise ball coming up and in, and she's racked up 5 already this evening.
PN. Nevada is hoping to come back in this one, but North Carolina says, look, not so fast. We are trying to extend this lead. They know that they are inching closer and closer, out by out, to that point. Maddie Baker, the pinch hitter. .4'10", Maddie Baker swings it over first base, feet touches the bag, 1 down.
Yeah, for Nevada, I'd be doing whatever I can in this inning to keep people off the base paths, knowing that Eva Shue has an opportunity to come up in this inning if somebody does reach base safely. So already a nice job by Giovanni Corneal going right after the strike zone, getting that first out of this inning. Looks like we might see another.
Now batting number 8, Laisha Carter.
Thought we were going to see another pinch hitter for North Carolina, but it looks like Laisha Carter coming in.
So Carter, who singled her first time up, walked in her last at bat, and has scored 2 runs tonight. Good pitch there from JoJo Corneal.
Yeah, we've seen great movement on that curveball outside to these right-handed batters. And she's really thrown a pretty good game. It's just been those 2 hits by Eva Shue with runners on board that have led to the 4 runs for North Carolina. A couple of walks here and there, North Carolina just taking advantage of them. But you can already tell that Giovanni Corneal has a bright future ahead of her, great spin and great movement on her pitches that she brings in there.
This one sharply hit by Carter, and there's Megan up, and 2 down.
Nice job by Up to track that one all the way into her glove. A good solid swing by Laisha Carter, hitting that one opposite field. And when those righties hit the ball to right field, it can continue to tail towards that right field line, but Megan Up able to track that one all the way into her glove for out number 2.
And now we will see a pinch hitter as Kaylee Furr is inserted into this game. She's coming in for Jordan Dry, and it's not every day that you find a young lady who has the special talent of what? Playing a ukulele.
A couple of athletes that we've read play the flute. Maybe we should get the flutes and the ukuleles together.
Who's gonna do the ukulele?
That sounded good. I think you should go with it.
No.
We know these ladies would be dancing in the background. We've already seen their moves.
Furr out of Cleveland, North Carolina. How does one pick up playing a ukulele? Inquiring minds would like to know the 0-2 swing and fouled off.
Maybe she saw it on TV somewhere.
Yeah.
I did have somebody I graduated high school with that he played the ukulele. He was fantastic, had a great voice too. It was very enjoyable.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Anything you want to let me know?
No, do not ask me to play the ukulele or sing. Nobody wants to hear that.
That was a good pitch, even though low in the dirt.
I like that spot for the off speed. If you're going to miss it, you want to miss it down in the zone. Sometimes when you hang those change-ups up in the zone, hitters will make you pay for it.
lined out to first base, and that ends the inning. So last chance for Nevada. They've got some work to do, trailing by 3.
We've had ourselves a great ball game so far, headed into the 6th inning, but it was Eva Shue for North Carolina getting the scoring started, driving that one opposite field. Fast forward to the 3rd inning, Eva Shue does it again, smacking this one out to center field. 2 more runs come across the board for North Carolina, and then it's in the 4th when Nevada started getting things going yet again by who other than Alexis Kearnes, driving that one out to the outfield. She tries to come in and score, but it's the great defensive play by North Carolina's Reese Poole to get her out at home. And North Carolina still finds themselves with a 4-1 lead, and Nevada down to their final 3 outs to try to make something happen.
Playing for the 2nd seed in their pool, trying to get as in best position as possible moving into quarterfinal play. Can JoJo Corneal start off the rally in the 6th for Nevada? Corneal, who talked about one of the highlights this season, she had given up a grand slam earlier in travel ball. She came back and redeemed herself, and she was able to hit a 3-run homer over the fence to come back in this one. If she can at least just get on base with Alexis Kearnes on deck, get something going, you never know.
When at a 3-run deficit, you cannot win the ball game with just one swing of the bat here. You got to do whatever you can to try to get on base, pass that bat along to your teammate, and try to string together some quality ABs and extend this game out as long as possible.
Taking all the way, and a strike from Poole. So Poole and North Carolina trying to close out things against Nevada, the leadoff walk to start the inning.
That's exactly what Nevada wanted to happen, get their leadoff runner on board. Corneal, somebody who has good speed over there on the bases. But Reese Poole gonna have to zone in and find the strike zone. One thing she's done well all game long is she's lived right around that strike zone, gotten these Nevada batters to pop up early in counts. She's gonna need to settle in here in the top of the 6th.
And Linehan calling upon number 21, Caroline Waters. Pinch hitting for Alexis Kearnes. And Waters just wants to pick up the same thing that Alexis Kearnes has been doing in the lineup. A base hit, runs batted in, all would be perfect right about now. to lay down the bunt. Now 1-2.
Now here, Waters in a 2-strike count. You still want to have a productive at bat. Do whatever you can to put that ball down on the ground and move Giovanni Corneal over into scoring position.
Gets her looking on the outside corner, ringing her up. Reese fireball, Poole with another strikeout.
And Poole settling right back in after giving that leadoff walk to Giovanni Corneal. Comes right back with a couple of strikes. Gets this one looking. Curveball outside. Waters thought it was too far out. But she's called for strike 3. And Reese Poole finds herself with 6 strikeouts already.
And you see her giving direction to her left fielder, Josefina Hahn, just to move over a little bit as the pinch hitter, Hallie Law. And here's Hallie Law's turn. First time we're getting a chance to see her. Nicknamed the Matrix on this team. Likes to give maximum effort inside. Fisted that one foul. Cool family connection. Vernon Law, her great-grandpa, a Cy Young winner and World Series champion back in 1960. Uncle Vance Law, great uncle, played for the Cubs. So cool lineage, nice. As it's smacked foul, she'll get another try, but you can see her clapping back to the plate, and she's getting some more confidence there.
I think she's got energy. The crowd has energy. We know Coach Linehan has a ton of energy. You can just feel it in this stadium, really picking up here in the top of the 6th.
The pitch from Poole. That ball high, 1-2.
It's a really good take. Sometimes when you get too fired up, you want to swing out of the zone. You can see her looking at her bat, refocusing every single time before she steps into the box.
Close pitch there. Poole wanted it.
Another really good take. That one low in the zone. You know, Tiffany, I don't think there's too many pitches that Reese Poole doesn't think are strikes out there.
That's the way you're supposed to think, because you come back right there with that pitch.
There's the smile out of Reese Poole. We're seeing it. She didn't get the call on the pitch before, a little bit lower in the zone, so she brings this one up just slightly to get the second strikeout looking in this inning.
Jim Linehan, who has just been busy on the phone this inning, his team trying to get out of this 3-run deficit, and we'll see Ellie Prindle called upon here.
Entering as a pitch batter, number 23, Ellie Prindle.
Prindle,
Number 25,
standing at
Gonzalez.
5'11", tallest on the team, makes the most of her at bats. Coach Linehan says she is the most improved player. And Ellie Prindle, you know she's relishing in this moment if she can keep this game alive. Underneath it, popped up to the shortstop, and that does it. 2-seed locked up, North Carolina with a 4-1 victory.
And it truly came down to which team was going to be able to capitalize on their opportunities with runners on board. And that was North Carolina's Eva Shue coming through twice. When her team needed it the most, she drove those balls into the outfield to get them 4 runs across the board.
Here's the schedule for tomorrow. Single elimination bracket begins Monday at 10 a.m. You can catch it here on ESPN2. Our family of networks that have been delighted to bring you these games thus far. Nevada will take on Missouri, so they will have a very quick turnaround against one of the hottest teams in Missouri, winners of 3 straight, Texas and North Carolina, followed by New Jersey and Virginia at 7 Eastern.
So many matchups